Hark! Okay, I've got this really cool idea for the release date of the live-action Hunchback movie. Now, this might be a lot to ask of Disney, but I will be disappointed in the live-action Hunchback movie. I will be disappointed in the live-action Hunchback movie if it isn't released on one of these two possible release dates. The first one is January 6th, which is when Topsy-turvy Day takes place. As Clopin sings,
Scurvy nature extra scurvy on the 6th of January, all because it's Topsy-turvy Day.
why does Topsy-turvy Day take place on January 6th? Well, January 6th is always the day immediately after the 12th day of Christmas, and on January 6th, the Catholic Church celebrates the day of Epiphany. When you look at a nativity scene nowadays and you see the three wise men there at the manger side with baby Jesus, surrounded by all the sheep and donkeys, and that's wrong. According to the Bible, it was actually around the time when Jesus was a toddler when the wise men got to him. And so the day of Epiphany is a celebration of that, because the word epiphany comes from the Greek word for manifestation. So this is when the wise men finally got a face-to-face encounter with the manifestation of God. If you believe such things. So what does that have to do with Topsy-turvy Day? Well, Epiphany falls close to an old Catholic tradition of the subdeacons, the lower clergy, having a celebratory feast to make up for the fact that the higher clergy, the deacons and the priests, had feasts of their own in December. So the fact that the lower clergy are celebrating as opposed to the higher ones is an inversion of sorts. It's topsy-turvy. So the celebration extended into the laity and greater society as Topsy-turvy Day, when people of lower status can pretend to celebrate like they're kings and queens, and do other things backwards of how they would normally be done. For example, with William Shakespeare's play Twelfth Night, you might think that the title of the play has something to do with the plot of the play. And so you see the play from beginning to end, and then you walk out of the theater like, wait, why was the play called Twelfth Night? I kept waiting for the part where it would be about Twelfth Night. Well, Twelfth Night refers to the night of the 12th day of Christmas, you know, 12 drummers drumming and all that. And that's always January 5th. And so the next day, Epiphany, would always be the 6th of January, as Clopin calls it, or Clopin, if you're French, which would be Topsy-turvy Day, or the Festival of Fools, as it's known in the original novel by Victor Hugo. Now, in actuality, the Feast of Fools was celebrated every year on the Collins of January. So, the Collins of each month is the first day. The Ides of each month is the 15th. So you have the Collins at the beginning of the month, the Ides at the middle of the month, and then you get to the end of the month, and it's time for the next Collins, the Collins of the next month. So in real life, the Feast of Fools was celebrated on January 1st, the Collins, but in Victor Hugo's novel, he moves it up to the day of Epiphany and kind of combines it with the Twelfth Night celebrations. But in real life, at the Feast of Fools on January 1st, the commoners would crown someone to be the Lord of Misrule, or the King of Fools, as it's called in Hunchback, and that's what happens to Quasimodo. But in real life, the Lord of Misrule would be crowned on the Feast of Fools on January 1st, and then he would preside over the commoners' Christmas celebrations until the end of Christmas on Twelfth Night. And these celebrations would include things like eating, drinking, merrymaking, preparing food for the Epiphany feast, and wassailing. Wassailing is the original form of Christmas caroling, where you go door to door singing with cups of wassail. And wassail is hot mulled cider. So, when Shakespeare's audiences would come to see the play Twelfth Night, on Twelfth Night, the Lord of Misrule would still be presiding over the Christmas festivities. And so the people would still be feeling that topsy-turvy spirit, and it would make total sense to them that a play called Twelfth Night would feature such topsy-turvy things as a woman disguised as a man, a jester pretending to be a priest, a servant who thinks he can marry a noblewoman and become a count. But because in the fictional world of the Hunchback of Notre-Dame, Topsy-turvy Day is moved from January 1st to January 6th, I think that would be a fun day for the movie to be released. That's option 1. Release date option 2, which I think would be even better. It was at that time that Christopher's microphone stopped working. Thank goodness he got the 10-year warranty, because he was able to ship it off to the road headquarters for free repairs. This repair process took quite a long time, and during that time, Christopher was able to perform in a play, get a haircut, and purchase a set of studio lights for his bedroom. Option 2 is Quasimodo Sunday, which is the Sunday after Easter. In the animated movie, Clopin says,
And Frollo gave the child a cruel name. A name that means half-formed. Quasimodo.
But he's kind of taking liberties with the Latin. Quasi means almost, and modo means way or method. So the phrase Quasimodo means almost in the way of, or more simply, almost like, or simpler still, as. So why is the Sunday after Easter known as Quasimodo Sunday? Well, traditionally, the introit sung to open Mass in Catholic churches on that Sunday goes like this.
Quasimodo geniti infantes, Alleluia.
The whole line is Quasimodo geniti infantes, rationabile sine dolo la concupiscite. It's Latin for, as newborn babes, desire the rational milk without guile. It's addressing the newly baptized, telling them to be pure of heart as they earnestly seek after the heart of God. So what does this have to do with the titular character in the Hunchback of Notre-Dame? Well, everything. The Latin introit is a symbolic prelude to the wholesomeness and innocence of Quasimodo himself, and in the original novel, Quasimodo Sunday is the day that Frollo found Quasimodo at Notre Dame. So did Frollo name him Quasimodo because the Latin phrase Quasimodo means almost like, as in Quasimodo was almost like a human in Frollo's judgmental eyes?
A baby? A monster.
Or is it simply because Quasimodo Sunday is the day on which the boy was found? In the book it says, Frollo baptized his adopted child and called him Quasimodo, whether it was that he chose thereby to commemorate the day when he had found him, or that he meant to mark by that name how incomplete and imperfectly molded the poor little creature was. Indeed, Quasimodo, one-eyed, hunchbacked, and bow-legged, could hardly be considered as anything more than an almost. So, it will be a big missed opportunity for a cool, meaningful release date if Disney does not release the live-action Hunchback movie on one of those two release dates, either Topsy-turvy Day or Quasimodo Sunday. But again, that's probably too much to ask, so I won't be mad if it's not one of those two dates. I won't be mad at you, Disney, just very disappointed. Quasimodo geniti infantes. Alright, I'm just sitting here checking my Facebook. What's this?
They'll end up just releasing it on June 12th for the reasoning that the Lego Movie 3 comes out the previous weekend, and it just makes sound financial sense to wait till the following Saturday.
Disney, no!